Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. Today we're going to talk about this magical date called September 23rd, and that is the date after Bakkt, or we can talk about the Bakkt date by itself. And personally, I think there's too many people who think September 23rd is some kind of magical, mystical day where magically the price of crypto will skyrocket for whatever reason, probably because of Bakkt. Now, we're going to talk about why that's probably not true, first of all. I've mentioned this on stream many times, but we're going to actually we're actually going to think we're actually going to talk about why that's not true, what Bakkt actually is. We're going to go over that slightly, and why there actually might be a sell-off starting on that day. So let me get to what Bakkt actually is. It is a futures exchange. Many people think it's a big spot exchange that's going to trade many cryptocurrencies. No. That's not what Bakkt is. Bakkt is a futures exchange. It is physically backed by Bitcoin, so it does generate demand for Bitcoin. But I'm guessing Bakkt has had almost a year or more to prepare. And Bitcoin prices have been really depressed for most of that year, up until about 3 or 4 months ago. And Bakkt probably bought a fairly large supply of Bitcoin to fund these futures contracts. So they've had a lot of time to accumulate. Most likely they've accumulated almost all, or pretty much all, or almost everything they needed for quite a while. But it does spur up Bitcoin demand over time. It is institutionally backed, so by NYSE, so people are going to have confidence in Bakkt futures exchange. But that's what it is. It's not a spot trading exchange. It's a futures exchange. You're betting on the future price of Bitcoin. And it's different from the other exchanges because those are basically cash backed, and there's more incentive to manipulate them than a physically backed Bitcoin future. So it's better than the cashback ones, but futures markets have never really had the effect of rising Bitcoin price, and we don't have any indication that they actually will. That's for one. Two, like I said, I think Bakkt has most of the Bitcoin in reserve already to actually do this futures exchange thing. And three, remember that this isn't a spot exchange, and it probably will affect Bitcoin only, and that might drag up the rest of the market, but it's not going to directly affect any other coin because it is only Bitcoin futures. That is the only coin they're doing. There's no Ethereum futures, there's no Litecoin futures, there's no XRP futures, there's no Bitcoin Cash futures. So it won't directly affect any of those coins. It'll affect Bitcoin, and hopefully that boosts up the rest of the market along with positive sentiment. But that's essentially all you're waiting for. Why I actually think there might be a sell-off on September 23rd is, of course, buy the rumor, sell the news. We've had this several times. Leading up to a big anticipated announcement, the price of a coin actually goes up. And then after the announcement, because all the hype is now dissipated and we've seen what it is, regardless if the announcement's successful or not. We've had the Cardano conference where Hoskinson didn't actually say anything, and the VeChain conference where they announced huge partnerships. And the same thing happened after both things. The price slowly slid down because the utilization wasn't quite there yet. And even though big partnerships were announced during the VeChain conference, the price kept on sliding down because they're waiting for utilization to catch up, and utilization hasn't caught up. I don't really think Bakkt will increase utilization of Bitcoin by all that much, honestly, or if any at all. So I think the hype leading up to September 22nd is going to turn out to be kind of like meh. And once September 22nd hits and there's not a ginormous demand for Bitcoin that has to push it up to $100,000 or something crazy like that, people are going to see that and they're going to start selling at the peak. So starting on the 23rd, because of buy the rumor, sell the news, I actually expect the price of Bitcoin to start going down a little bit. Now, it will be a controlled dump because I think Bakkt overall is a pretty good thing for the industry. But people are going to realize that it's not some magical moment where a mystical fairy waves like a magic wand and makes you rich. And once they start realizing that, they're going to want to cash in on the profits. Now, that's assuming if Bitcoin does go up leading up to September 22nd, which I think there's a good chance that it will. So leading up to September 22nd, you might see a bump, but after September 22nd, 23rd, they might just sell the news and you could see a little bit of a dump. So if we suddenly go to 15, 16,000 by September 22nd, you might want to consider selling at least a little part of your holdings and then waiting with the rest. Because if you sell part of your holdings, if it dumps to about 12,000, which is very possible because of buy the rumor, sell the news, you could buy in 20, 30% more at 12, maybe even 10,000. So that's really what I'm looking at. That's really probably what I'm going to do. might sell back a little bit of it for fiat and then buy back in with the fiat once it actually gets lower, maybe heading into October. But I do think I will have to buy in pretty quickly because I do think going into October and Q4, I do see a substantial rise in Bitcoin prices in Q4. And that's because we're getting close to the halving, and that's to me that is a much bigger instigator of price increase than Bakkt itself. So probably a small window between end of September and mid-October, or maybe even end of October, to sell out and then buy in at a lower price. It is kind of risky, so you just might want to hold on. But I don't think September 23rd is going to be some magical date where every crypto actually moves because, like I said, this thing is only trading Bitcoin futures, and it's a futures market. It's not a spot market, and I don't think it'll pump utilization to infinity and beyond. So I think people are getting excited about it, and that leads me to believe that there will be somewhat of a pump in price leading up to the 23rd of September. And after the 23rd of September, there will actually be a mild sell-off. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you, and have a nice day.